everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Homeshow Unlimited, and for today's episode, we have a very special guest. She's a licensed architect who pursued continuing professional studies at New York School of Interior Design. Welcome, Ms. Karah Consolacion.
Hi, Alex.
Hi, Ms. Karah.
Good noon or good noon.
Good morning to you. So how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you.
How about your projects, especially here in CDO, it's ECQ, and you're from Iligan. Iligan is on MECQ, right?
It's GCQ already.
GCQ na.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
so can you still do construction in Iligan?
Yes. In
that's
here, construction is going on. So it's different situation there in Cagayan.
In Cagayan, it's more strict because it's ECQ.
Yes.
Anyway, I wanted to invite you here to the Homeshow Unlimited because you're the architect of one of my clients who recently sold her house in Xavier Estates, and I really like the interior of her house, how it was designed and laid out. So it would be also something that a lot of those who want to build their properties, especially first-time homeowners, that they want to, instead of buying pre-selling or a ready for occupancy unit, a lot to prefer to build their house because they can really customize the design according to their needs and according to what they want their house to look like. So what's the first step to designing a house?
So I would recommend you to give the architect the lot plan, the area where you want your house to be located. So from there, you talk with the architect regarding definitely the architect will ask more about the lot, and then from then you discuss also with what the different requirements, the different space requirements for your house. So from there, we do the planning. So the more information you give to the architect, it would be easier for us to come up with design solutions to cater your needs.
Okay, what about the interior of the house, like how it's going to look like once it's finished? Is that also part of the architect's scope of work?
We have architecture with interiors and design, interior design. So the architects can design architecture interiors, but for interior design, that will be the job of an interior designer. That's a different. We may have similarities in terms of we are designers, but we do have our own different roles in the design. So when we say interior design, it's more on you enhance or you beautify a specific space. But as architects, when we speak of architectural interiors, you can alter. Interior designers cannot alter load-bearing walls. So we as architects, we can design. We have similar, let's say similar profession, but like we may be similar in terms of the design, how we enhance this particular space. But it's more on the architects are more on we can transform the particular area, which the interior designers cannot. Let's say
interior designers have limitations.
Yes, they are only limited to a particular space. They cannot transfer a particular area, particular room. They are more on the materials, the furnitures, the decors. While the architects are more on the designing, the arrangement of the spaces.
So what if your client already has, let's say your client has already knows his or her preferred specs. Let's say the client says, I want a 200 square meter house with 4 bedrooms, 3 toilet and bath. So what's the next step? What's your design process? How do you come up with the initial design of the house?
Okay. In the planning stage, we start from the plan is in the beginning of building. So in the planning stage, we make sure when we do spatial divisions, we make sure how to arrange the different spaces based on how they are related to one another. So let's say the living room is accessible to the dining room, and then the dining room or the dining area should be accessible to the kitchen. So things like that. So we have to utilize the space very well. So it's very important to consider the relationship or the interrelatedness among the different spaces in a particular building.
So what's the next step after the design, initial design?
The initial design, we present it to the owner with the floor plans, and then based on we also ask the owner what architectural types he likes. Like if he wants modern, he wants the postmodern. So there are different types of modern, like the ultra modern house, the futuristic. There are different architectural styles. So from there, we make sure that our design should also jive or should also blend with the environment, with the surroundings. So based on what your client's needs or what he wants. So I like to have it like it has something to do with the I want my design more on the it has more on the personal I want it to have like a personal touch, or the owner, it's like a reflection of their personality or identity. So that's what I want. So I make sure what I design, I like to know more about the person or the client or your client or the end user. So that
so you can really customize the house according to that person's personality.
Yes.
So the first step is to create a floor plan according to what the client wants.
Yes.
And then after the floor plan, what's the next step?
After the floor plan, we do from the initial or schematic that we go to the once approved by the owner. We do initial design, so it's either approved or they are open to few revisions. So when the plans are approved, we will go to the finalize the drawings. So we prepare working drawings, construction drawings and then we tackle more on, and then we do the contract documents, things like the paperwork, and then there's the construction phase.
So the construction phase, that's the last step when you already have all the final designs approved by the owner.
Yes.
How long does this process usually take? From conceptualizing to coming up with the final render or the final approved design?
It will take about months for me.
What's the longest?
The longest?
Yes, the longest.
The longest, I have one. It's a very big, it's a large scale. We talk about it for almost a year. It took about almost a year, but it's not a house. It's a different type of building. So when we talk about houses, residential, siguro 4 to 5 months we can finalize the design.
So it's very time consuming, no, when you're coming up with the design. Do you have a certain number of revisions allowed? Because what if the client cannot really make up his mind, like I want this design, and then after you finish doing they ask for a revision, and then they ask for another revision. So do you have like a limit to the number of revisions that you can do for the client?
There are really fickle-minded people. For me, I can go until 4 revisions. So after that, I would ask additional charges.
Okay, so there's really a limit because there's a lot of work that architects put.
Yes.
How long does it take?
Time-consuming. The planning stage alone, it's very time-consuming. I cannot make it in just a few weeks. I want to have it. It's you do research, you do in-depth, intensive research. Even if it's a house, the house is considered a complex structure, so it will take a lot of planning, a lot of thinking, and a lot of our creative skills. So it really take a long time.
Yes, a residential house is actually one of the most complex structures that you can build.
Yeah.
It's because it's
Yes.
very customized and personalized to the client. If you build or design a basketball court or a gym or a
Oh, they
commercial
are
building,
open plans. Yeah,
that's
they're
more
simple.
simple.
Yeah. So the house, yeah, again,
Okay.
it's very complex.
Yes, very complex, time consuming. So how much does it usually cost? Like, do you have a standard? Do architects have standard rates for the design of the house alone?
The when in terms of residential, the architect's fee, the minimum basic fee of an architect is 10% of the total project cost. But for the house, for residences alone, but in terms of our fees, we have different fees depending on the different building types. So let's say it depends on our fees, depends on the complexities of this particular project and the let's say the creative skills needed to meet with the requirements of your clients. So different buildings, architects have different professional fees for different buildings.
What's the most expensive house you've ever designed? Residential property you've ever designed. Like, how much did it cost per square meter?
This I have one. The I used to have like a junior architect with there's a different we I have a boss at the principal architect. We restored President Gloria Macapagal's house. I think his grandmother. So that was very expensive. I don't remember how much, but it cost a lot. That was during like a few years ago.
Is
So
that the
was
one
like-
near Timuga?
Yes.
Oh, okay, okay. I know that
I was a
property.
junior architect before with Architect Semania. So that's one of the most expensive houses we did. We did the restoration. So we were more on the design services. And then I have one. The most of my designs there are let's say they are like more on the not really high end but more on the not also the average type because I'm after for the quality, so kind of a bit expensive. And the per square meters in terms of the structure can go for 29,000 per square meters, the structure alone.
Whoa, that's expensive. Because usually, I heard from one contractor client of mine that usually structural is about
25.
15,000 per square. That's just the structure, not including the
Structure
interior of
and
the
it's
house.
the economical that's the economical not the mid-range or the high-end type of.
So what are the rates usually for
The rates usually-
mid-end, low-end, mid-end, high-end? To give the viewers an idea in case they want to build a house.
You want the economical, you can go for the 15 or 18,000 per square meter. So the mid-range can go for 21, 22, and some would go for 25. So the high-end would go for the 29, higher than, and other higher than that. 27, 29,000 per square meters or higher than that. But I've never, honestly, I've never experienced very expensive, like super, like 40,000 per square meter. I have never expensive. I haven't experienced that one yet.
So the standard pricing per square of your clients, how much does it usually go for?
The standard per square meter. So I can range from the 25,000 and up, 25,000 up per square meter.
25 to 30.
with, of course, with quality and high quality materials. That includes the materials and also the labor costs, things like that. The structure alone, it's not yet the let's say the furnitures are not yet included, or the appliances, the structure only.
That's only the structure. But the
Yeah.
interior, not included as well, like the tiles, the
It's included.
finishes. It's already
No,
included.
but yes.
What challenges do you usually encounter as an architect?
The most a very common we experience is, well, in terms of the when you want specific materials and then they're not available in the market and you have to wait for a very long time. Especially like me, I prefer those quality materials. So my experience before, I want the one with my other project. So I want it customized, the roof. So it has to be manufactured in Cavite and then in Manila. So it will take months to arrive, things like that. And then especially if you go for, I like the quality, the European tiles. So that will take about, if you lack a number of tiles, if it's not available in the Philippines, you have to wait for 3 to 4 months to arrive.
Oh, that's a long time.
So that's very challenging. It affects not only the progress of the construction, but also the cost of the labor costs. That's a common one we consider very challenge, or the common challenges we experience. It's more on the
And
materials.
it's very challenging, especially if you have to stop or maybe pause the construction process, because the workers need
yes.
to be able to work continuously.
We do have different phases during the construction. So if the materials have not yet arrived yet, so they're slow in progress, we cannot just jump into another work if it's related to, if the materials that are really needed or needs to be used before we can proceed to another construction method. So that's definitely very challenging.
So the service that you provide to your clients is really architectural service. You don't provide yet construction services.
I'm very selective, so most of the time I cater architectural design services. I have few that I also cater design and build, but with a partnership. So usually I partner it with my cousins or my uncles, and then or with a few friends. So I really need partners when I do design and build.
Yes, because building is also another thing that's not very easy to do, diba? It's also a challenge, especially if you're not yet familiar with the process.
I cannot do it alone. I'm more focused on the designing. So I like designing better, but it has to go. The two has to go. So I really like someone who oversee or takes charge, or you have full supervision during the construction. So when it's design and build, I want partnership. I prefer partnership.
Okay, so last question. What are your tips for those clients who want to build their own house? What are your tips for them in choosing an architect?
Of course, for your architectural needs and services, consult an architect. So there are three. So you can do direct selection. You can, if you want a particular architect, you can go right away. You can consult her. You can consult him. So there is another one, the comparative selection, wherein you compare from one architect to another based on their previous designs. You can also do that. So you do research on their previous projects, and then there is also selection. So other clients do competitive selection, like they offer competition, design competitions to architects. So whoever they prefer, they will award that project to the winning architect. So for houses, you can do siguro direct selection or comparative, or maybe, or it's possible for the three you can do competition.
So, going back to your tips to the viewers in
Yes.
choosing an architect. So, your main tip is if they have a particular design in mind, and this design is parang there's an architect also who has a similar aesthetic, similar taste, they can go directly to that architect, choose that architect directly.
You can do,
If
yes.
it's for smaller
that's
scale,
easier.
smaller scale constructions, or I mean smaller
That would
scale
be
projects.
easier. Yes, that would be easier since you have a common theme.
Yes.
So you can directly you can easily what do you call this? You can easily you have a common likes. Let's say you have
There is common taste. You mean
preference.
common
You have a
preference? Yes, common preference in
preference. So
design.
that would be easier for both of you, the client and the architects. So you can do direct selection. That would be very easier.
Yes, especially if it's just one house. But if it's a big project, then your suggestion is to do bidding or competitive selection.
Yes, mostly for large scale projects.
As I also read that when it comes to choosing an architect, since an architect's taste is dependent also on his or her personality, right? Like you have this particular, you have a certain design aesthetic that's
some
really
architects have
your
like
style.
your identity. So all your projects have that particular identity. So everybody knows that is designed by a particular architect. But for me, I don't have a particular identity. I go for whatever the client wants. So I have different designs for different persons and different personalities. I'm more on what the what the I'm more on,
What the client prefers.
yes, what the client prefers, and I wanted to have like very personal, like personal for the clients. Anyway, they are the occupants, so I wanted to have personal touch for them. So I want my design to be a reflection of the occupant or the owner.
Don't
So
you
it's
find
not
it
more-
challenging to, don't you find it hard to visualize? Were there times that you found it hard to visualize what the client really wanted?
Of course, there are a lot of times, especially for me, there are people who really wants the postmodern. Well, I'm a modernist architect, so it's really hard for me to come up with a design that is like as Hispanic, or it's influenced by the the postmodern things with a lot of moldings. That for me, it's very difficult for me to come up with those kind of designs, those kind of architectural styles. So it's very challenging for me since it's not my forte. So there are, of course, different. That's very challenging, of course.
So what designs come easy to you?
I like more on the minimalist, the modern design. So I prefer those things, those design styles. Those are I like. It's more on the free flow. It's more of lighting. Light. It's light. It's not really the massive type. So I like the modern design. I'm a modernist, but not the futuristic. That's too much for me.
That's different. So modern,
That's
there's
different.
modern design and there's also futuristic.
Yes, the one with looks very too modern, like the ultra modern, or it's too much compared to the ultra modern, so futuristic. So they have different, or like there are free form or different form. So no, that's also very difficult for me.
So there are really different names for all these kinds of styles.
There are a lot of different architectural styles. There's even the constructivism. There's a lot. There are too many. And then we do have like the Victoria, the Renaissance. There's too much. styles.
But I think what clients do now is that they just look on Pinterest and they just pin the photo that they like and then send it to their.
I welcome those kind of those kind of stuff, because sometimes the clients cannot really fully express what they want except on the images. So I will know what type of architectural style he wants for his house. So when they show me pictures, usually Pinterest, they want it
Yes.
something like this and that. So I can.
So it's actually
I will
easier
connect this
now. It's easier
Yes.
now because, of course, if I am not an architect, I don't really know what style this is that I like.
Yes, yes.
It's just that there's this particular style that I'm more into. But now, at least with Pinterest, even if I can't express in words what I like to my architect, I can just show my architect, this is my
Preference,
my peg.
choice.
Yeah, this is what I
Yes,
like.
yes. That's why I welcome those kind of things. But I try to let's say I try to recommend that we do not have to copy everything. We can have it as an inspiration idea, but we should come up with our own design. So it's just like a basis or a precedence to our own design. So I really welcome those kind of methods. So that's how other people, clients express what they want, more on images and pictures. So it's for me, it's easier to get get to know what your client wants in terms of the how it looks like, the house, the building.
Yes, that's correct. So before we end, Kara, for example, if ever there are viewers out there who want to have their house or any property designed by you, how can they reach you?
You can call me at 0917-722-3330, or you can visit me at my office at room 301, third floor, Marietta Tower here in Iligan City.
Do you have Instagram or a Facebook page as well that they can check out?
I do have a personal account, but it's not really for business, for
For
Facebook.
business.
So you can message me on my number, personal number.
Okay, so you can just they can just set a meeting with you.
You can do for appointment. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, Kara, for your time. I learned a lot from you about the design process. I realize now that it really takes a long time to come up with the final design. So an architect really has a lot of work to do before being able to come up with the final design.
Yes. Thank you also, Alex, for inviting me.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
your
so
time,
much.
and I hope to see you again on this show. And that ends our episode for today. Thank you so much for being with us, and I will see you on the next episode. Bye!
Thank you so much.